Tonight on Q2, a highly discussed book back up for debate.
Please don't remove this book from the shelves.
Assassination Classroom does not belong in our schools.
To remove or not to remove? That's the question facing Billings School Board trustees. Plus, the battle's over, but the war is just beginning.
I'm already in the fight. I mean, it's no turning back now. You just got to keep going.
A judge's decision paves the way for a potentially critical Supreme Court case that could upend an industry. We'll bring you the latest. And on the way up, after a failed landing in Livingston, one tow truck company completes a unique recovery effort. The MTN 10 o'clock news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Tonight, Billings School Board members decide the fate of a controversial book, Assassination Classroom. That book has already been banned in Laurel and in other classrooms across the U.S. for its depiction of gun violence toward teachers. Our David J. attended tonight's packed house meeting as crowds from both sides spoke out.
The board held its meeting at the Lincoln Center Auditorium. Judging from the applause after some of the comments, a lot of them leaned toward not removing the books from the Billings Public School libraries. But they all had a chance to give their input before the board made the decision.
I motion that the book be removed from the Billings Public School libraries.
As of news time, the board had not yet made a decision on Assassination Classroom. 1 week ago, a three-person panel reviewed the book and made a recommendation to the full board to remove it from school libraries. One of the committee members talked about that decision.
I just have a difficult time in our current climate in having a series of books that depicts and glorifies killing our teachers.
The original request in October states concerns with phrases such as, "I can't believe I get to kill a teacher with my own hands," which a student states in regard to a teacher who is actually an alien who asked the students to kill him to save the world. Many disagreed that this book is a problem.
Our school district 2 process is complete. There are no facts before you here to justify removal.
We support the right and the responsibility of parents or guardians to determine what is suitable material for their children and to enforce those decisions.
And others had concerns.
If you put this material, they're taking away the parents' liberties to not have this in there.
That is the proper role of our parents and guardians to make, not our public schools, who by including violent and sexually explicit materials in our libraries, perhaps unintentionally but directly, provide a ringing endorsement to our children on behalf of all the taxpayers in this district. That society is okay with this content.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
And before that vote was handed down, board members discussed the future of Washington Elementary School. The proposal is to turn that school into a charter school, giving students a chance to earn their associate's degrees at the same time as their diplomas. Superintendent Erwin Garcia says the move would help with a $4 million deficit in the elementary district. Dr. Garcia says Washington is the most expensive to operate for the number of students. However, not all parents are on board, as it would force 208 students at the school to go elsewhere.
I didn't come to Billings Public Schools to close schools, number one, and that's actually what I don't like that concept. We have to balance this budget, and I know this is something that the Budget Committee has presented to us. I know the Budget Committee is pretty much saying, we've been here before. Why haven't we done something about this? It's about time. And it is about time.
In the end, it was brought to a vote, and the board approved that plan to transform Washington Elementary into a charter school. Major news today in the largest medical malpractice case in Montana history. A Cascade County judge has decided to reduce the $6 million awarded to a Great Falls man to the constitutionally mandated cap of just $250,000. Our Casey Conlon detailed the importance of this case in a 5-part series last month and joins us with reaction to this latest key piece of a complicated puzzle.
16 months after a jury awarded Joey Zahara $6 million in his medical malpractice suit against a Great Falls neurosurgeon, Cascade County Judge John Kutzman released this 25-page judgment Monday, citing his decision to cap that award at $250,000. It's a win for Montana's medical practitioners for now, though Zahara says the fight is far from over.
I mean, it's no turning back now. You just got to keep going.
It's been 11 years since Joey Zahara suffered multiple strokes, causing him to lose function of his right arm. He said he didn't receive critical care treatment that could have prevented the damage, and a jury agreed. Monday morning's news didn't thrill Zahara and attorney Daniel Flaherty, but it's what they expected. They say the silver lining is that they can now move forward with an appeal to the Supreme Court.
We at least have a direction of where to go, and I'm sure Joey appreciates that relief as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's just the next step.
Kutzman's decision consistently cited Meach versus Hillhaven West, a 1989 case about the constitutionality of Montana's Wrongful Discharge from Employment Act. The plaintiff argued the act, which sets limits on damages, was unconstitutional based on Article 2, Section 16, that guarantees full legal redress for anyone injured by another person. But Kutzman said the court made it abundantly clear in the Meach decision that it would not deny the Montana legislature the authority to pass a law in the face of the Constitution.
Any first-year law student can tell you that the legislature cannot abrogate a constitutional right or amend it by statute.
Jim Nelson was a Montana Supreme Court justice for 20 years. He says Meach has had a wide sweeping impact. He also believes the decision was flawed.
If that is in fact the law, the legislature can do away with practically any constitutional right. It can do away with any statutory right. It can do away with the judiciary.
Judge Kutzman pointed to specific language in the Meach case as the reason for capping Zahara's verdict, but in his conclusion, he also criticized the law. This court has no illusions about $250,000 sufficiently compensating Mr. Zahara for what he has endured. Plainly, it is nowhere close to enough, but the court has no choice.
The comments are very interesting, and it kind of lays out the unfairness and even almost immorality.
Flaherty says he expects the process to take at least another year, if not longer. Others have gotten to this point, but have settled their case before the appeal has reached the Supreme Court. Zahara says he's in it for more than the money.
Somebody's going to have to be the person that goes out in front and forges the way for new territory.
In Billings, Casey Conlon, MTN News.
The warden of the Montana Women's Prison has been placed on administrative leave. Jenny Hansen has been the warden of the Billings facility since 2017. It's unclear what led to that decision. The Department of Corrections has refused to provide any details, calling it a personnel matter and telling MTN that Assistant Warden Alex Strachenstein is now the acting warden. The women's prison houses around 240 inmates. Hansen has been an employee of the Corrections Department since 2009. A Montana history author is now accused of stealing and selling artifacts from the Montana Historical Society. Brian D'Ambrosio of New Mexico was indicted on 10 counts of theft, wire fraud, and transporting stolen property. Court documents say D'Ambrosio went to the Montana Historical Society in Helena claiming to do research, but instead is accused of taking items from the archives and later putting them up for sale on eBay. Some of those artifacts include letters written by Charlie Russell's wife and a Montana Constitution Convention flag. D'Ambrosio pled not guilty to the charges. Cleanup is once again underway at Lockwood's Little League fields after vandals struck yet again over the weekend. It's seemingly becoming a yearly occurrence, and this time around, someone turned the Diamonds complex into their own NASCAR practice session. Last July, volunteers were left to pick up major debris left behind from fireworks on the 4th, and this weekend the parking lots were damaged after someone did donuts in that area. For board members and volunteers, the constant cleanup and time is taking its toll.
It's not a big deal. You just got to bring a skid steer down and knock the edges down, but it's the time that takes. It's 10 hours of somebody's time, 10 hours of fuel to come down here and get it leveled back out so that when families are coming in here, they're not bouncing their kids out the windows.
Hubs estimates it costs the board around $20,000 to $30,000 a year to maintain those fields.
Here's a look with the Stop and Bag weather cam in Miles City, and you can see or not see with the heavy fog that's developed there. The street lights just look like blurs out there into the evening hours now, and that's over a widespread area. Roger, thanks for your email from around the Hysham area to let us know you got the fog there. You can check it out. The humidity up to 100%, so the fog will stick around for a while. Here are the areas most prone to it, from around Hysham over towards Miles City, Baker, up into northeastern Montana, down to a quarter-mile visibility. Looks like it could be even a little bit lower into some locations. But as we get into the coming days, we're going to be looking at drier than average conditions and warmer than average.
Today, a unique recovery effort took place at the Livingston Airport. Back on January 11th, an airplane flew off the runway, sliding 500 feet into a ravine. Fortunately, the two pilots walked away from the crash, and this morning, it was time to pick up the pieces. Take a look at this. Involved effort as Hanser's towing crew pulled the plane up the large hill, all the while being as careful as possible to not disturb the environment. Overall, while some brush was disturbed and the maneuvers were challenging, it was a job well done for the crew. But even they admit it was far from an average day.
My dad's 80, and he got out of bed early today to come watch this. It was kind of a fun deal for him. Whether it's a truck on the side of the road or a plane like this, everyone's different and unique.
The plane will now get transported to Colorado for evaluation. Well, still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, language learning. A new grant may open up a whole new world for students. We'll explain next. And later, the Squat Queen, our super senior living up to her nickname, helping herself and others stay fit. That story in just a bit.